So hello all. Making these videos is a little bit more complicated and trying than you would imagine just saying, oh, I'm gonna do a YouTube show. As I've learned, this is my 8th take, and it's the first take that I am confident could possibly actually be used. But I guess I have plenty of time to do this, right? So basically, I wanted to start out with this first one to be kind of like a test to see what the quality is like, if you can hear me, if it works well, can you see the art, can you, be able to watch and it not be disruptive or anything like that. So I decided that for this first episode, instead of just painting, I'm actually going to go through some of my existing art and discuss what art is for me, some of the inspirations that I have, how I started, and the evolution of my work. So I guess I'll start with how it all began. About 4 years ago, I was at my friend Stephanie's house having a glass of rosé, and being a useless millennial, really. And she came up to me and was like, hey, do you want to paint? And I was like, no, I do not. I want to stare out the window and do you have any weed? And she was like, well, I really think you should try it. So I did, and I spent the next 8 hours on a canvas about this size. How I managed to spend that much time on such a small surface area, I have no idea. But I did, and I loved it, and I haven't been able to put the brush down since. The kind of paint that I do is called abstract expressionism, and it is a form of art, abstract art, where it is said to be a visual manifestation, creation of feeling and emotion. So I guess, like, if, for example, if you're really, really jealous of something, an abstract painting could be what that jealousy looks like. And it's different things for different people, and every painting is translated in our minds differently. We all see different things. The main point of the art is to not see a hippopotamus eating a banana on the swings. It is to get a mood by looking at it. So a little bit about some of my early work. I used to, and some people like this, use the entire canvas. I have shifted through time. I incorporate a lot more negative space now. I feel like it, I don't know, it just as I've developed as an artist, I feel like it looks better. But like, for example, this is one of my newer paintings. As you can see, I implemented a lot of negative space, and so you can see a huge difference in my work from when I started to now. Another thing that I use in my paintings a lot is texture. So when I first started using texture, this is one of my first paintings, and essentially I use the acrylic paint itself, because when it dries, I use the cheaper paints for this. If you use it in mass, it dries like a plastic. But I also use modeling paste, which you can see here. And it adds a really nice texture. It's kind of similar in texture when you first start using it to like a really, really wet clay. And then it dries like cement. It's pretty awesome. But I think one of the most beautiful things about abstract art is that, whatever I might have been feeling when I was painting, say, this piece here, it's, who knows what I was feeling, but it became this living thing that now you can look at yourself and it creates emotion within you. And so really, you know, for example, like if I was going through just the worst shit ever when I painted this painting, you might see it as this beautiful, serene place that you can escape to in your mind while you're sitting on your couch. And so for my turmoil to turn into something that you can just look at and enjoy day in and day out, it really kind of helps all of that pain not be in vain for me. Something I really love about this piece is that it's super dark, but at the same time, it's really bright. Every time I've ever looked at this painting, there's not been a single time where it looks the same to me. And I'll bring it in a little closer so that you can see. My mom loves this one. It hangs over our TV, usually in the living room. But that one is one of my faves. So this again would be kind of like my earlier art, even though I just painted this the other day while I was on the phone with my friend Ashley, my best friend out in Cali. I love you, girl. I was literally like this for like 3 hours while we talked about her little boy and life. And you know, this painting, I don't know if you can see, but I'll try and show you the texture that is on this painting is really intense. I mean, the whole thing is just heavily textured. And that is because, partially on purpose, but I've painted probably 35 to 40 different pieces on this canvas, and I've never been okay with what it looks like until now. I actually intend on gifting this to a family member who's just gone through a lot, and I'm really excited to give that to him. So kind of some of my inspiration for my art is biology and it's kind of hard to vocalize, but like when you think of like civilization but in ruins, the oxidization of metal, so things getting rusty, you know, the way that this has like hard lines in it, but at the same time it really has a lot of almost like distress to it. I really love that aesthetic, like, you know, like a Jetsons looking society or future, and it's going through a state of decay. Like the movie AI would be a good example of what I'm talking about. Just a couple of more pieces. This one here is actually never been one of my favorites, but the reason that I decided to show it today was because I once had a guy come read my chakra, and when he was done, he started going around my house and looking at all my art, and when he got to this piece, he was saying some really profound things that really just struck me to my core. I am a sexual abuse survivor, and he told me I should title this one Rape, and that just really shook me, because like I said, everyone interprets it differently, but for me, sometimes I don't even realize what I'm working through when I'm painting something, and I think he was really onto something when he said that this one is representative of the loss of my innocence. This is another one that's got a lot of, you know, like hard lines, and yet it's chaotic, and almost like a system that's gone haywire, a microchip that's rusty. This one is actually from my bestie out in California. It's called Pretty Woman. I love this one. It's one of my more modern or recent pieces. and I don't usually try to see things in my paintings, but I see a woman's face, and I absolutely love this shit. I think it's super good. Not to toot my own horn, this one I've actually had a lot of positive feedback from you people. It is a very recent one that I've finished, a commission piece for a friend in Austin who's, I believe, stuck out of the country right now. I painted it to go in her home like this direction, but of course the cool thing about abstract art is you can really hang it any way that feels right to you. So, you know, you can hang it that way as well. Now, one of the cool things and most inspirational things I've happened to have to me recently when I showed art to somebody was, again, my bestie Ashley out in California. When I showed it to her like this, she saw the spirit of a person, a being, an entity. Maybe the head region here and the body swaying, and I just really loved that. So, in the coming weeks, and as you guys watch me paint later on, I intend to try to capture spirits in my paintings. I have a lot of deep connection to what I paint. For example, when someone passes away that means a lot to me, or even is going through a lot, I definitely relate certain personalities to color. For example, my grandma experienced a massive heart attack about a year ago, and my uncle, her son, he passed away on the same day. And for my uncle, no question about it, his color to me is cobalt blue. Really, this color blue here. And for my grandma, it's this like deep, bright, magenta, purpley pink, violet. I can't even describe it. It's like this color here. It could be because my whole life growing up, her nails were usually about that color. They still are to this day. But she did live, but they both experienced the same heart attack in the same day, and he did not make it, she did. And so I'm working on this painting using their two colors, and I'm not done with it, I'm not ready to share it, but really they are kind of crossing their spirits in the void, or you know, whatever you want to know it as. Anyway, my phone memory keeps wanting to shut the videos off on me, so that's lovely. Like I said, this is an experiment. I still don't know if it's going to be better while I'm live painting to pre-record them and then upload them, or if it's better to do YouTube television, or if I'm going to end up just doing them on Facebook Live. I will hope that you are patient with me as I figure this out. And I really hope that, you know, I can share this really intimate part of me with all of you, and kind of maybe inspire you to start doing what I do to get through this trying time that we're going through, because it is insane. Girl, you ain't gotta tell me twice. Oh my God. Anyway, I love you all, and I will probably paint live in a couple hours.